Today I'm going to show you how to make a Chinese New Year lantern. The Lantern Festival is the end of the Chinese New Year celebrations, and it's also known as the Spring Festival. So when we're making this lantern, red is a very important color for celebrating the Chinese New Year. So if you want to use red, you can definitely use red paper. If you don't have red paper, any color is fine. You'll need a full sheet to do the lantern and then a small strip. It could be the same color or different. So if you just have white paper, that's fine. But you're going to want a small strip for the handle as well. And then you need scissors, a stapler, and a black marker. Or if you'd like to do this in a more traditional way, you could paint the symbols on using black watercolor paint. Typically, when they create the Chinese characters, they use ink and a brush. So you could use that instead of a marker if you would like to. Now, when you get started, the first thing you actually want to do is create a border at the top and the bottom, and this will help us with cutting and spacing things later. So I always say use about 2 fingers, and then you can use different types of lines. I'm going to start with a bumpy line, and I like to do it the same on the top and the bottom. Both should be about 2 fingers away from the edge. And then inside of that, I'm going to do a loopy line. I'm making the loops inside the bumps. And again, I like it the same on both sides. And then maybe I will add a zigzag to finish up. And if you want to color parts of the lines in, like I could color the loops in, or I could color below the zigzags to add a little bit more contrast, you can certainly do something like that. I'm not going to spend the time doing that right now, but that is definitely something that adds interest to it. Okay, so now I'm going to add some of the Chinese Zodiac characters. Each year of the Chinese New Year is the year of one of these Zodiac characters, animals. So this coming year this will be the year of the ox, which means right now it's currently the year of the rat, and then they kind of go in order. So if you want to look up online to find out what year you were born in, you can do that. I think I was born in the year of the pig, or you can just pick and choose which characters you add. But the character is basically a symbol that represents a word. So the rat here, this is the Chinese character, and if you see that, that means rat. And it's a series of brush strokes or lines in different directions that are combined to make that Chinese character. So these, you can see some of them are a little bit more complex, a little bit more difficult than others. Some of them require very few steps, and then some of them require a lot of steps. So you can explore and experiment with the ones you want to try. Since I was born in the year of the pig, I'll go ahead and start with that one. I try to put at least 6 on here. If you make them smaller, you can do a lot more than that. That's up to you. But I like to space them out and make them a little bit bigger. So if I'm going to do the year of the pig, then I have to follow the direction of the line. And if you're using a brush, you would start by pressing harder and then kind of release up so that you get it to be thinner there. I'm not going to have that effect because I'm using the marker. So when I do this, I'm going to start with that curve down because it's showing me to make it down. And then the second line here, you can see I'm going to be making across the first one, and it's going to kind of curve down and then hook back up. So it curves down and hooks back up. And then there's another line that comes down. And then I'm going to add on this 4th line here, which is crossed, the 5th line across, and then the 6th line is down, and the 7th line comes across. And it may be hard to tell in the video, but it actually, I can see the other lines faintly. They're really light, but you can kind of see where the previous lines were. It might be hard to tell from what you're watching, but if you were to download this, you would be able to see that. Okay, so now I'm going to start here, and I'm going to make a line down, and then over and down, and then across, and that is the symbol for pig. That is, I would say, a little bit more of a challenging one. I think monkey's fairly challenging too. So you can decide if you want to try some of these harder ones or if you want to stick to some of the ones that are a little bit easier. Since it's going to be the year of the ox, I think I'll add that one next. So down, across, and that one's longer. And then you'll notice I'm using my finger as like a placeholder over here, so I make sure I do each step in order. And then down. All right, so that's the symbol for ox. I like to add dragon, that's one of my favorites. So across, down, and down, and then it hooks back up, across, diagonal. All right, there's the symbol for dragon. I'll do horse. So down, and this one goes a lot of different directions, and then hooks up, and then a line across underneath. So I'm going to do 2 more here. I'll do the one for goat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have room for 1 more. So I think for the last one, I am going to do this year's, which is the year of the rat currently. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start that one out there. 7, hooks up. 8, 9. And then same kind of thing again. Hooks up, diagonal, diagonal for 11 and 12, and then the 13th line comes down and hooks up. All right, so once you have done your characters, your Chinese characters, you are going to switch this paper around. You're going to actually kind of go to the inside part of the lantern, and then you're going to start to fold. So you're going to bring the bottom up towards the top. It's really important. We call this the hot dog fold, but it's really important that you line up the corners. If they are not matching when you start cutting, you may not be able to keep this together as a lantern. So make sure you match those corners before you crease the fold. Then we have our hot dog bun. Now, you're going to keep it folded while you're cutting. And you want your cuts to be about 2 fingers apart. You're going to start at the fold and end at the border. So I always actually like to keep my 2-finger pinch, and that way I'm spacing properly while I'm cutting. So I'm going to go from the fold up to the border and stop. I'm not cutting all the way across. So take your time with this and make sure you pay attention. If you accidentally go across, there's a way you can fix it. You just have to put a piece of tape on the inside and tape the 2 pieces back together, but it's not as strong that way. So I definitely would take your time and make sure you stop at the border. That's important. Now, I'm always keeping my cuts about 2 fingers apart because I'm using a 2-finger pinch, and that way the spacing is there. You could do them a little bit closer together, but if you get them too close and you're not cutting straight lines, you might end up cutting little pieces off. So you do want to be kind of careful with that. All right, now that I've got my cuts all the way across, I'm going to open it back up like that. I don't press it flat because then it messes with the crease there, and I like that crease to be there when it's folded. So then I'm going to bring one side over the other, and you may need someone to help you with holding on this step because you're going to need to use the stapler and put the stapler in and staple those 2 ends together. So it does sometimes help to have an extra set of hands for that part. And then the last step, after you've stapled those parts together, you've got your lantern, but it doesn't have a handle. So to make the handle, you're going to take it, don't put it on the outside, you're actually going to tuck it to the inside, and then you have to hold just the edge there in order to get the stapler in. And then same thing on the other side. So you're going to be careful and just hold the edge there, or ask someone to help you if you need help. And then once your handle's on, you can hang your lantern up to celebrate the Chinese New Year. All right, I hope you have fun.